In her dream, Bella finds herself running through the crowd and then in a forest. She sees Gran in the distance and waves to her. Then she senses Edward approaching. Although she initially wants to keep it a secret from her, she then wants to introduce him to Gran. Strangely, Gran moves and speaks just like Bella, and with a mirror appearing between them, Bella transforms into Gran. A knock on her bedroom door awakens Bella. Bella's father, Charlie, celebrates his daughter's birthday and gives her his and her mother's gift of a scrapbook for her to put pictures in from senior year. The radio announces the third missing hiker case recently. When Bella arrives at school, she takes a photo of her friends to put in her scrapbook. Just then, the Cullens arrive. Edward wishes Bella a happy birthday and kisses her. Before they go to class, Jacob arrives. His rapid development catches Bella's attention. Jacob invites her to see the motorcycle he's currently working on, wishes her a happy birthday, and gives her a gift. When they enter the school, Alice congratulates Bella on her birthday, gifts her a dress, and asks for her promise for tonight's event, stating that she has already seen the future in which she will accept. Although Bella is initially hesitant, Jasper's power controls her mood and convinces her to accept. While they watch a play on television in class, Edward tells Bella that he envies people because they have a high probability of committing suicide. His rare option is to go to Italy and provoke the Volturi. Meanwhile, the teacher asked Edward to repeat the last lines, and his student unexpectedly does so. After school, Edward tells Bella that the Volturi family is a very old and powerful family. He tells her that Carlisle, who appears in their paintings, has lived with them for several decades. He explains that the Volturi are very refined and have no respect for human life. They hold their laws above all else, most importantly, keeping their species' existence a secret. Meanwhile, we see the Volturi carrying out the execution of one of their kind in the past. Bella then mentions the danger posed by Victoria, but Edward says he isn't afraid of it. At this point, Alice arrives. The Cullen family gathers, each celebrating Bella's birthday and exchanging gifts. However, Jasper is unable to contain himself when Bella cuts her hand while trying to open one of the boxes. Edward, quick to protect Bella, throws her away and then blocks Jasper. However, just as Jasper is about to attack again, he is restrained by the others, calmed, and led away. Carlisle goes to Bella and tells her that he will need to stitch up the wound on her arm. While stitching Bella's wound in his office, Carlisle tells her that Jasper hasn't been away from human blood as much as the others. Bella expresses a desire to transform herself, but complains that Edward is unwilling to do so. When he's finished, he burns the bloody bandage. Edward drops Bella off at her house. She tells him that if he doesn't transform her, they'll have to be apart one day, but Edward still refuses. They kiss and Edward leaves. Bella takes out Edward's photo and pastes it into her scrapbook. When she goes to school the next day, she can't see the Cullen family. Edward enters Bella's room and sees his photo. He then wants to talk to her when she gets home. They enter the forest and Edward announces that they must leave Forks now. His family, especially Carlisle, is starting to look much younger than they should, and people are starting to notice. Bella wants to come with them, but Edward says he doesn't want that, saying that what happened on her birthday will happen sooner or later again. He says goodbye to her and disappears. Bella becomes tearful and goes after him but cannot find him. It is midnight and she falls asleep from exhaustion. While Charlie and his friends are searching for his daughter, Sam brings Bella in his arms and hands her over to her father. Seasons pass, and Bella finds herself soulless. In a message to Alice, she describes feeling empty since they abandoned her. She experiences hallucinations at night and is now isolated from her friends at school. None of the messages she sends reach Alice. One day, her father, Charlie, tells her that she should leave Forks and go to Jacksonville to live with her mother. He says that she can make new friends there and move on with her life. However, Bella rejects this and says that she still sees her friends here and that she will go shopping with Jessica tomorrow. Charlie likes this and does not insist any further. As night falls and she and Jessica leave the cinema, Bella can't listen to her friend. She pauses, seeing the thugs who harassed her earlier on the street, and suddenly in her mind Edward appears telling her to keep going. Bella walks towards the thugs and is initially hesitant when Edward reappears, but she approaches them again and climbs onto one of their motorcycles. The thugs' reckless driving and the reappearance of Edward make Bella want to get off the motorcycle. Jessica laments how reckless her friend's behavior is. Bella, having seen Edward in danger, wants to take matters even further and brings an old motorcycle she's found at a junkyard to Jacob. To his friend's surprise, the young man lifts the motorcycle in one swift move and whisks it away from the vehicle. Later, we see them removing engine parts and starting to repair them. Meanwhile, Jacob's friends Quill and Embry arrive and start joking around and fighting. Time passes, and the duo continues their repairs. Bella writes to Alice about how good Jacob has been for her, but even he can't stop her nightmares. While driving with Jacob, Bella stops in panic as she sees Sam and his friends throwing one of their own off a cliff. Jacob laughs and says they are not fighting, but just cliff diving. He speaks of them in a disapproving tone, saying they think they run the place. His friend Embry, who used to dislike them, has now joined them, just like Paul and Gerard. Jacob says Sam is looking at him the same way, as if he's been waiting for him too. Jacob takes Bella onto the newly repaired motorcycle and shows her the brakes, gas, and clutch. Bella sees Edward again and begins to accelerate. Along the way, Edward appears before her, telling her to stop. Bella goes on but loses control and crashes. Jacob quickly goes to check on her, and when he hears her wanting to ride again, he flatly refuses. He takes off his shirt and places it over Bella's bloody head. Bella sits with her friends at school who are discussing the 5 hikers killed by a bear. Mike, surprised to see their friends back, invites Bella to the movies. Bella accepts but says she'd rather an action movie than a romantic one, and she invites her other friends as well. Evening arrives and we see Jacob and Mike talking outside the movie theater. Bella approaches them and tells them that the others have ditched them for various reasons. The 3 of them go to watch the movie and Bella finds herself caught in the middle. Mike, overcome by the film's atmosphere, goes outside to throw up. After joking about this, Jacob tries to hold Bella's hand, but she pulls it away. Bella tells him that she likes him but doesn't want to lose him either. Jacob says he would never do such a thing. Mike arrives, and Jacob unexpectedly loses his temper. When Bella grabs his hand to stop him, he says his body is extremely hot. Unable to comprehend what is happening, Jacob leaves. Time passes, and Bella can't reach Jacob. She leaves him voicemails asking him to call her repeatedly. One day, her father goes fishing with his friend. Bella drives to Jacob's house and finds him wandering around naked in the rain. She sees he's cut his hair and gotten a tattoo. She asks why he's not answering her calls and blames Sam for this influence. Jacob says he did nothing but help him and says that if she's looking for someone to blame, she could blame the Cullens, whom he calls the bloodsuckers. When Bella pretends to know nothing, Jacob claims he knows everything and says they can't be friends anymore. Despite her insistence, he rejects her and goes to his friends who have called him. Bella, who falls into a difficult situation again in Jacob's absence, writes to Alice again. She goes to her and Edward's own place in the woods, but sees the surroundings have lost their greenery. Laurent appears at that moment. He tells her that he went to visit the Cullens, but their house is empty, and asks if they have left. Edward appears and tells Bella to lie. Bella says they visit frequently, but Laurent doesn't believe her, saying that he came at Victoria's request and positions himself to kill her. At this moment, a massive wolf appears from the woods, followed by others. At the sight of it, Laurent, using the superior speed of his vampire state, flees, and the wolves chase after him. One of them glances at Bella and joins the chase. Laurent pauses, driving one of the wolves back. Fearfully, Bella runs away and goes straight to tell her father that she saw big wolves in the forest, keeping the vampire part out of it. Charlie, though initially unsure, says he will gather his friends and check it out with rifles. Home alone, Bella can't sleep in fear of Victoria. Jacob, who's been grinding against her window, climbs superhumanly into her room. He tells her he has a secret he can't tell her and is delighted to see the gift he gave her at her bedside. Bella says she doesn't like what they did to Jacob. Jacob sees the vampire scar on her wrist and gets enraged. He tacitly tells her to remember the legend he told her on the beach. Bella offers to go away from all of these together, but Jacob tells her he can't do it even if he wants to. He hugs her and jumps out the window in one move, running away. Bella can't sleep at night and sees Edward and Jacob. She remembers the legend Jacob told her earlier that the Coulates are descended from wolves. She goes straight to Jacob's house. Although her father says he's not home, she bursts in and finds him sleeping. Then, when she sees Sam and his friends outside, she angrily goes to them and blames them for Jacob's withdrawal. When Paul laughs at her, Bella slaps him. Paul, frustrated with rage, suddenly transforms into a wolf. As Bella runs away in fear, Jacob appears and jumps over her, transforming into a wolf as well. He pounces on Paul and tries to stop him. They then attack each other again, running off into the woods wreaking havoc. While the others tend to Bella, Sam follows Jacob and Paul.
Bella tells the others they need to check on Jacob's well-being, but they aren't too worried. Bella meets Sam's fiancée, Emily, and eats a muffin she made. They explain that Jacob didn't tell Bella about this earlier because of their alpha's rules. Bella tells them that vampires are faster, but they claim they are. Sam arrives and kisses Emily. Jake and Paul then enter, joking around. Paul apologizes to Bella. As Jacob walks along the beach with Bella, he tells her that a few lucky members of their tribe possess the werewolf gene and that fevers flare up when a vampire enters town. He tells her they only hunt vampires who harm humans. When Bella points out that vampires are stronger and faster, Jacob says they easily killed Laurent and that his redhead girlfriend Victoria is next. He explains that they chased her all the way to the Canadian border the other night, that she is constantly coming and going, and they don't know what she's up to. Bella says she knows and that she's after her. Jacob drops her off at her house and tries to reassure her by telling her that they are protecting the area, and then he leaves. Bella is left alone again, and with Edward and Jacob missing, she finds a solution in writing to Alice. On a hunt with Charlie, Harry eliminates any trace of werewolves in his tribe. Victoria follows them. As she's about to attack Charlie, she runs towards Harry, who points a gun at her, but one of the wolves blocks her. Victoria quickly stands up from where she fell and nimbly dodges the wolf charging at her, then begins running. Charlie rushes to his friend's aid. Victoria is running away very quickly, but the wolves are just as fast and won't let her go. Bella continues through the forest. The wolves' chase continues, and when Victoria has no escape, she jumps off a cliff into the sea. With nothing left to do, the wolves abandon the pursuit. Bella reaches the edge of the cliff and hears Edward's voice in her ear, warning her not to do this. Bella tells him he won't be with her any other way and jumps off. But the harsh waves crash down, dragging her to shore. When she sees Victoria approaching her underwater, she panics and hits her head on the rocks. She sees a vision of Edward. Jacob pulls her out and helps her breathe. Sam tells them to go home, saying he's going to Harry's house. Bella learns from Jacob that Harry has died of a heart attack. Victoria, who had been watching from afar, dives back into the water. On the way back, Bella gets cold and embraces Jacob, who is constantly warm. Jacob explains that Sam once hurt Emily in his anger and lost control, and that he's afraid to do the same to Bella. Bella warns him that such a thing will never happen. Just as they're about to kiss, Bella pulls back. Jacob stops her as she gets out of the car and tells her he smells a vampire. Bella sees Carlisle's car and gets out. Jacob stops her, explaining that if Carlisle has returned, he can't protect Bella on their territory, as per their treaty. Bella says the Cullens won't hurt her. Jacob walks away angrily. When Bella enters the house, she sees Alice and happily embraces her. Alice is angry at her for jumping off the cliff, but Bella explains that she only cliff dived. Alice explains that she's only been in contact with Edward once every few months and that he wants to be alone. When she asks about the wolf scent on Bella, she learns about Jacob and insists that Bella stay away from them. At that moment, Jacob bursts in and says he wanted to make sure Bella is safe, even if it means breaking the treaty. Alice learns of Victoria's danger and attributes her failure to foresee it to the wolves. Bella calms them both down. Alice gives them some time. Jacob demands to know if the other Cullens are here. He reconnects with Bella and is about to kiss her, but her phone rings. Jacob answers and says to the other side that Charlie is not home because he's handling the funeral arrangements. We see Edward, on the other end of the line, break his phone. At that moment, Alice enters and tells her that Edward thought Bella was dead, and that's why he is now going to the Volturi to commit suicide. Bella gets angry with Jacob. Alice and she quickly leave. Jacob begs Bella to stay, but to no avail. We see Bella and Alice quickly heading towards the Volturi family. Edward reaches there by this time. Volturi members say his abilities are too valuable for execution, adding that they cannot execute without cause. Alice sees a vision on the way and tells Bella that the Volturi have rejected Edward, and that is why he will reveal himself to the people at noon when the sun is at its highest. Alice accelerates towards Volterra, driving through the back streets in the stolen car. People dressed in red have gathered due to the San Marcos Day festival. Alice finally drives as far as she can and tells Bella that she must go alone.
If Edward can read Alice's thoughts, he might think she's lying and accelerate his attempt.
Bella begins to run rapidly towards the base of the clock tower. She weaves through the crowd trying to find her way and dives into the back streets. Finally, she reaches the square and continues pushing everyone in her path. When she comes to the fountain, she sees that it's noon and Edward is taking off his shirt. She runs as fast as she can, taking the shortest route. Just as Edward shines in the sun, attracting a child's attention, Bella jumps on him at the last moment, showing that she's alive. Edward is initially incredulous, but is eventually convinced. They kiss. Meanwhile, the Volturi members arrive and say that Aro wants to see Edward again. Edward initially agrees, but when they ask Bella to come too, he refuses. Alice and Jane from the Volturi arrive and calm things down. They pass through the passages and take the elevator down. When they finally arrive at the Volturi's residence, Aro greets Bella with joy. He takes Edward's hand and begins to see all the thoughts he's had up to that moment. He's impressed to see that Edward can't read Bella's mind. He wants to hold Bella's hand too, but he can't read her thoughts either. Then, wanting to see if she's immune to other powers, he enlists Jane. When Edward tries to stop her, she inflicts excruciating pain by simply saying the word. It's as if she's enjoying it. Bella demands she stop. Aro stops Jane, but then urges her to continue, this time directing it towards Bella. Seeing that Jane's power doesn't work on her either, Aro screams with joy. While they like this situation, they decide that on the other hand, she knows too much. Edward steps behind Bella to protect her. He attacks Felix, one of the enforcers, and Alice attacks the other, but both fail. Edward rises from the ground and attacks again, only to be thrown across the room. Felix grabs him by the neck again, roughing him up before he can escape. After a few grabs, he throws him into the air and holds him for execution in Aro's presence. Bella begs them to stop, demanding that they kill her instead of him. Aro stops Felix and stares at Bella in astonishment. He's shocked that she would give up her own life for a vampire, a soulless monster. As he rises, Alice urges him to stop, telling him that she has seen Bella become one of them in the future. Aro holds her hand and sees a future moment of Bella's vampire life with Edward.
He turns back to Bella, relishing the idea of her abilities joining the vampire world and urging them to leave. As they go, Heidi, a member of the Volturi, is taking a group of humans to feed on. When they enter, people are heard screaming.
Bella wakes up from another nightmare, but this time Edward is by her side. He tells her he left her thinking he was protecting her, but he promises he won't leave her anymore. Sensing Charlie's arrival, he quickly disappears. Charlie checks on his daughter's condition. He tells her not to disappear unannounced like that again, and leaves. Edward kisses Bella.
Bella tells the Cullen family she wants to become a vampire, but suggests they vote on whether to do it or not. Alice says yes first. Then Jasper says yes too, so he won't have to keep wanting to kill her. Rosalie, who doesn't like this life herself, votes no, believing she's saving Bella. Emmett hugs Bella and votes yes. Esme also votes yes. Carlisle tells Edward, who looks at them with resentment, that they have no choice but to do this, so they won't lose him. As they drive, Bella reveals to Edward that she wants to transform after graduation to make things easier for Charlie, and that she wishes Edward had done it. Jacob appears before them. They enter the forest, and Edward reads Jacob's thoughts and tells Bella that he will ask Bella why she chose this life. Jacob gets angry for this, but Edward approaches him and thanks him for keeping Bella alive while he was gone. Jacob then explains his real reason for coming here and reminds him of the agreement, stating that if the Cullens bite any human, the agreement becomes over. Bella argues that this is about her, not them. She then approaches Jacob and tells him that she loves him, but that her heart will always belong to Edward at the end of the day. When Edward says goodbye to Jacob, Jacob gets angry and tries to grab Bella, but Edward throws him and Jacob transforms into his wolf form. He rushes to attack Edward, but Bella steps between them and stops them. Jacob looks at Bella and leaves there. Bella sadly looks after him. Edward says Jacob is right and that Bella shouldn't transform, but she insists. Edward then asks her to wait a little longer and tells her that if he is going to provide her with the transformation, he has only one condition. He wants to be with her forever and proposes marriage.
The story ends here.